welcome back to Live Life. My name's Liv and thank you so much for being here. Today we're talking about happiness and why it is so fleeting and the ways that we can actually increase our happiness and life satisfaction for the long term. I hope you have all had a wonderful week and have had a positive moment for yourself in this crazy world at the moment. So let's get straight into it. So I think that when we are children, we are always focused on the present moment. And what tends to happen is we get to adulthood or young adulthood and we start focusing on goals. But we're always thinking about these goals that are going to create this sort of happiness forever. Like we're like, oh, if I have X amount of dollars, I'm going to be set for life. I'm going to be super happy. That's all I need. Or you go, oh, if I just find this one partner with all these different traits, I will be so happy. However, this isn't what actually happens. We get to these goals and we don't have this sort of long-lasting happiness that cures us for the rest of our lives. It's very fleeting and we might have a small moment of joy and happiness and then we sort of just go back down to normal, or we get so used to this thing we've been working on for so long that it just becomes part of our everyday life. So this phenomenon is called the Hedonic Treadmill, which was proposed in 1971 by Brickman and Campbell. And what it basically means is that despite sort of fluctuations and different things happening in our lives, whether that's like great amazing things like getting your dream job or like bad things like losing a job, for example, despite having these fluctuations, yes, we're going to have a small amount of time where they are affecting us and our well-being, but we tend to just go back to this base level of happiness that we've always had. So it is exactly like a treadmill. We tend to be constantly chasing this idea of happiness and what it looks like, whether that's in terms of a career, money, partnership, whatever it is. We keep thinking, oh, I'm so close to being super happy. I just need this one goal to be achieved. And we never get to this level of happiness because we get there, have a little moment of it, but that's it. It just goes. So it's basically about us getting so used to something and used to this goal being attained now that we don't really see it as special anymore. It just sort of fits into our everyday life. So as an example, there was a study done with lottery winners who had won a substantial amount of money and people who had been in major car accidents who had lost the ability to use their legs. And what they found is that despite these sort of massive life events happening, they both went back to very normal levels of happiness and well-being and life satisfaction for themselves. So this sort of really negative event for the people that were in the accidents didn't affect them in the long term. Just like with the lottery winners, they weren't sort of happy for the rest of their lives because they had all this money. They went back down to their normal level of happiness. So now I want to talk about how we can actually change our life satisfaction and happiness levels over the long term. So it's not just so fleeting and short and dependent on these sort of happy moments coming about that only last a short amount of time. So Sonia Luer-Bomersky, a positive psychologist, said that 50% of our happiness is dependent on genetics, which is a large portion. 10% is dependent on our circumstances and external factors, and things like where we were raised, our parents, and like what country we were born in. And then 40% is based on our values, our attitudes, and our actions. So that's like a large portion that can sort of help affect our happiness and that is in our control. So with 40% being a bit more in our control, I want to talk about how we can use this, like our actions and our attitudes, to do things that have proven to increase life satisfaction and happiness in the long term. So Seligman, another positive psychologist, I love positive psychology, said that there are 3 different types of happiness sort of experiences we can have. And a couple of them will actually help us escape this hedonic treadmill in that they allow us to have long-term, long-lasting happiness that isn't so fleeting. So the first of Seligman's 3 happiness ideas is pleasures. So pleasures are all things that don't take much effort and are, easy to do. It's like having a cup of tea, eating a block of chocolate, watching a movie, and they make you feel really good sort of instantly, and it doesn't require a lot of mental effort or thought. Now these little pleasures are great because it allows us to appreciate the little small things in life, but the next 2 are much better at increasing life satisfaction for the long term. After pleasures, the second type of happiness activities is gratifications. So gratifications require more effort, but they have more reward. So these are things like playing a sport, doing music, doing art, lots of sort of hobbies, and are more immune to the hedonic effects. So over a longer period compared to pleasures, they are going to make you feel happier, and it's going to last a lot longer compared to these pleasures, which are more fleeting. So the third type of happiness activities that Seligman proposed is meaningful activities. So meaningful activities are things like voluntary work or helping people out. And these are things that sometimes we struggle to do, and we really find it hard to find time to do it, and it requires a lot of effort. So what they've actually found is these meaningful and altruistic activities actually will transcend these hedonic effects. So what that means is that you're not going to do this meaningful activity and then your happiness from that just fizzles out instantly and it becomes fleeting like we've talked about before. It's actually going to be ongoing, and what's even more special is it can increase your set point of happiness within you. So before we said that your happiness is primarily determined by your genetics. So let's say you're 4 out of 10 in being a happy person. By doing these altruistic and kind activities, you actually can increase that to a 5, let's say. So it is spectacular and amazing to realize that kindness and altruism and being a wonderful friend and person is really beneficial to us as well. So this isn't the only instance where it has been found that altruism and kindness can help your well-being and happiness in the long run. So there was a study done in Germany over 17 years with heaps of people, which is amazing. And they looked at people's life satisfaction at the beginning and at the end and all throughout. And what they found, again, was that people that were altruistic, kind, and engaged in voluntary activities overall increased their life satisfaction levels long term, which is amazing. So basically what this tells us is being kind, doing voluntary work, helping people out, and being altruistic doesn't just help the people around us, but it helps ourselves in the long term with our happiness and maintaining this happiness. Overall, try to stop thinking about what goals, what money, what partner, what house, what career you need in order to be happy, because it's going to be a shock to the system when you get there, and that happiness moment is only fleeting. Instead, work on the present moment and finding happy moments in the now, and combine that with the research that says altruism and voluntary work and helping one another also increases our life satisfaction, happiness, and well-being. And I think by doing that, you'll have a happy life that is not fleeting and lasts a long time. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.